What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of SSPN Postgame. Me and Ethan will start off the show humbly admitting, boy, were we wrong. It was not going to be a bloodbath. It was not a bloodbath at all. I mean, I don't think we were wrong for thinking that at the time, but
Mm-hmm.
just got to give a shout out to the guys tonight because they definitely proved us wrong on that one. And we're competitive in a game with a team they have no business being competitive with when you consider that the big three of the Spurs right now. Not really, but just as of right now, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and Jakob Pertl are, if you want to say the best three players on the team, it's definitely those three guys. Most experienced as well, obviously Devin and Keldon, super young, but that's besides the point. The point is those three guys were out, and the Spurs went to the wire, and really you could argue should have had the ball off a potential push off call earlier in the game, which led to a lob, which would have given them the ball with 114, would have given them the ball when the score was 114 to 113 instead of getting it with 113 to
16.
116, which they still tied it because Jay Rich hit a clutch three. Just a wild game, but this is once again just kind of ties into the theme of the guys are looking better. Um, and our man RR210 already says the referees helped Boston win. Bobby February, shout out to you for being in here. But yeah, once again, just ties into the theme of the guys are playing better. Lots of good stuff that you saw. Obviously, it was an L, but when considering it's the best record in the NBA right now, and those three guys were out, love what you saw from them. Love what you saw from them. Played hard.
It was the ultimate team game. We really counted them out. Me personally said it was going to be a bloodbath. I think that was the first thing I said
I
when you
said it
asked me
too.
about today's game. And really, Romeo Langford, Trey Jones, Zach Collins, Josh Richardson, Malachi Branham, Stanley Johnson, they came to play. Jeremy Sohan, too. He had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. I know he missed the potentially game-tying 3 late in the game, but it was an open shot. I'm glad he took it. If it had gone in, we'd be giving him all kinds of roses right now, so I'm not going to criticize him for taking that shot.
And maybe if we
And
have a
there was
better angle on that steal, maybe he's the hero.
Exactly. And he played a great game defensively. I thought that these guys came out with a chip on their shoulder. Defensively we were really playing aggressive. Offensively, we were moving the ball, got back to old school Spurs basketball. Everyone touched the rock. Zach Collins was physical inside. He got double teamed. He made the right pass, gave it to the open guy. Romeo Langford was taking it to the basket. And Trey Jones, I felt, kept the guys calm and facilitated the way a natural point guard is supposed to facilitate. He looked like our leader out there, and I felt like the guys responded and rallied around him. And then Jay Rich being the ultimate vet, 4 from 9 for 3, instant spark plug. Felt like he was trying to get a revenge game on the Celtics because he was very animated, especially late when he hit that
Oh
game
yeah,
tying
when he
three,
hit the game tire.
116. The bench was up. Keldon, Devin, they were rallying the bench to kind of clap for our guys and all that stuff. So I'm not mad at all with this loss. 4-point loss, I'll take it. Against the Boston Celtics, that shows
Yeah,
improvement. That shows chemistry. And that's what we love to see. And the referee comment, it's just the reality of the NBA. It's how it's always been.
you have to overcome it.
Superstars are going to get the calls, and it's just you got to play through it. We don't have a superstar. We're not going to get any of the calls. So, considering all that, I'm extremely, extremely happy with how we played tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Our man Adrian C brings up a great point here. I was at this game, so I can definitely
Mm,
attest to this. This was like last year's Boston game, except last year we came from behind and got the dub. That's exactly what it really felt like that. Like for a second, and it was super similar also because of the fact that like we went down like 110 to like 99 with like about 5 minutes left. And that's what it was like last
yeah.
time. It was like just as you thought, okay, they're gonna pull away, it went down to the wire. Spurs weren't able to come out on top this time, but considering the circumstances, just a great performance from the guys for sure.
The thing that I like the most, sorry to cut you off, early in
No,
the
you're good.
season, we got down, what was it, 10 in the first half. We were down 10
Hmm.
going into the second half. Most of the time early in the season, or most young teams in general, they don't
Hmm.
come back from that. The Celtics
Right.
really will. They're contending for a championship this year. They will put their foot on the
Hmm.
gas or on our throats and crush us, and we won't have the mental fortitude to overcome that because of how young we are. We might,
Hmm.
rest on our laurels and just say, "All right, let's wrap it up, get down to the next game." They've really fought back the entire time and made it a competitive game in the fourth quarter. So clearly showing some improvements mentally as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We got to see KBD. It was confirmed that it was just he had a
Yeah.
non-COVID illness, and prior to that, he had been roughed up, so that's why he hadn't been playing. He got 22 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
I think he brought some stability to that position. Um, Isaiah Roby got 1 minute tonight, and it was like I don't know what we're trying to do with him, but I think KBD, even though he doesn't look crazy on the stat sheet, even has a -8 plus minus. Still, I think him just knowing where to go, not doing anything stupid, and it had a steal and a block tonight as well. I think he was key. It was good to see him back out there. Stanley Johnson looked good. Shot kind of fell off later in the game, but still had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Hit some clutch mid-range buckets too. Obviously Jay Rich and Romeo for me though. Just this game was awesome to see them, kind of just do that against the Celtics. Obviously didn't get the win, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this. I don't know. It was their former team, kind of got to prove them wrong a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think that
Yeah.
that was a trade that was just good for both teams. Like that trade made both teams better. So at the end of the day, obviously, I'm happy we have them, and I totally see why the Celtics did what they did. But it was still nice to see Romeo have that type of game, especially Jay Rich too. Because like I alluded to it in the episode we did last night. There's a lot of crap thrown around in Boston, especially when you have a team that has as high expectations as this. To see them just make some plays and both have really solid games against their old team was great to see too. And you could tell the guys love to see that too. From the get go, it was like we're going to have Romeo and Jay Rich. We're going to make them, the two guys who take the most shots. Other than Trey, they were the two guys who had the most shots tonight. So just kind of love to see that for them. Some other things that I'm trying to think of. Malachi, he got stuffed by Robert Williams, but other than that, had a really solid game.
Twice.
Yeah, and that's just that kind of ties in with his release and like his arc and everything. Um, so that's still kind of same thing there for him. The biggest
Mhm.
thing though, this is what I was remembering and I couldn't think of, is Zach Collins, 18, 12, and 5 tonight. I've seen his passing ability, over this little stretch where he's really started playing more physical and has kind of started to look like a little bit more reminiscent of the things that we saw in Portland. He's just continuing to develop, and that's why this contract with him is so awesome. And even at the beginning of the year, me and you were both giving him a little bit of crack. That's like, is he, in the future, is he even going to be able to find a roster spot if he keeps getting bullied like this? But it feels like to me, just with how long he was out for, like 2 years or whatever, um, it feels like now he's finally getting comfortable again out there. What are your thoughts on Zach?
That's most definite. He's finally, at least physically, able to bang
Mhm.
down low with these guys and feel comfortable on that leg. I think that is apparent. But the thing that's really changed things around for Zach, in my eyes, is clearly the coaching staff has given him an elevated role. Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe they're just telling him to look for his shot more, and that's opened up his entire game. Because early in the season and in the end of the season last year, he was really just
Mhm.
getting the ball at that elbow area, high post, and just kind of dribble handoff, dribble handoff, dribble handoff, set some nice
Mhm.
screens, roll to the rim, but that's about it. And Zach Collins, when we signed him, the scouting report on Zach Collins was so much different than that. He wasn't just a pick and roll guy. He was a guy you give the ball down low to, let him go to work, look for his own shot, and then that opens up the rest of his game. He's able to pass out of the post. He's able the high
Yeah.
post. He's good there as well, but he has a face up jumper. There's so much more to his game that had not been unlocked.
Right.
So with that mental change, he seems to be stronger inside. He seems to be attacking the glass more, attacking the boards, and doing all those little things just a little bit better. Because when you get your, I can't speak personally because I didn't play competitively, but from what I understand, when some guys offensively they have to get going in order for the rest of their game to be unlocked. So now that he is unlocking the rest of his offensive game, he seems to be playing better on both sides of the ball and more comfortable, you know, down low with these guys that are so physically imposing. Um, it, I don't want to compare him to this guy, but they went to the same school, so I'm going to. Sabonis and he have very
Yeah.
similar games
I
approaches.
thought for a second
Sabonis
you were
is
going to say Chet.
no, 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 not Chet at all. Sabonis is clearly a better player and an all-star and does it on a more consistent basis, but Zach Collins needs to be in a similar role to be effective. And to
Well,
me,
they
he's
played
finally
the
been
same role at Gonzaga.
exactly, Exactly, and they have the same skill set. So put him in that same position as far as responsibilities, and he's going to flourish. And I think that's what we're finally seeing from him.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I get exactly what you're saying there. You're not seeing Sabonis. It's just that's how they kind of. I mean, you even saw obviously Chet is a little bit different of a prospect, but
Yeah.
that's how Gonzaga. They like to have face up bigs. They like to have bigs who can pass. They like to have all those skills. It's their and who can stretch the
Multifaceted.
floor. Right, right, multifaceted, exactly. So, it's still only 24. And if he keeps developing and keeps getting better, which it seems like a lot of these guys are, like this year, the Spurs development staff has, just once again showed what they're doing. I mean, obviously the
Hmm.
record isn't, amazing. It's not development in that way. It's if you're watching the games, you know, you're going to see it. And that's what Sean and Dan Weiss were talking about today on the broadcast. Sean was like, this was the point of this season. You want to see the rookies in game 1 and 2 and then see them in game 40, and not even just rookies, just young guys. Right. And so, I'm echoing some stuff I've already said on today's show, but the thing is, like, this game against this team, and I know that they've been exposed a little bit before, against the Thunder, like we talked about on last night's post game, but still, this just kind of ties into everything that we've been saying and the positive trends that we've been seeing over this last little stretch.
I just can't wait to see what we look like at the end of the year. And
Yeah.
maybe this long stretch of games where we're playing really, really good teams, maybe
Yeah.
these games will be a lot more competitive than we thought. I don't think we're going to win any of them, for the record.
Yeah.
Let me put that straight. But I don't know if there'll be bloodbaths like we initially thought,
Right.
just because of how competitive everyone's playing. And from game to game, they're showing us something new that we hadn't seen.
Yep.
Last game, you mentioned it in the live. Like, we're able, because we played the Pistons. Guys were showing us stuff in their bag that we didn't know they had. So that's bound to continue happening, especially if Devin's out till the All Star break at least, and I don't know
Right.
when Keldon is set to return, or Jakob either. I don't know if that was just a rest thing for them, but if they continue to sit out, Bassi might go for 20 next year. Like, who knows?
Right.
It's going to be fun to watch.
Another takeaway from this one, we were talking about how last night Trey Jones kind of had to completely abandon the facilitator role and just go get buckets to get the win. Um,
Mm,
Tonight, you mentioned he kind of did a little bit of both. Took the most
hmm
shots on the team, was tied as being the leading scorer and facilitated as well. And he's been getting some boards as well. I mean, not like he's beating out, like he's beating out other guards on these boards, but for his size, you love to see that over the past couple games as well.
Defensively, he was a bulldog tonight, dude. He looked like prime Houston Rockets Pat Bev a little bit. The way he was getting up into Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White, swiping at that ball, poking it out at half court. I saw that comment. That's so true.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from him in these past 2 games in a slightly elevated
Hmm.
role. He's been doing it all year, but now he's just getting more shots and being able to show a little more of what he
That
has in his
floater,
bag.
man.
The floater's getting deadly. It looks
Yeah.
smoother. It doesn't have a hitch in it. He's got a nice release. What are you gonna say?
I was just going to say, I mean, he got it off the glass, but do you remember
Yeah,
earlier in the season, we were talking about the inconsistency there? That was like
yeah.
one of the
It's
criticisms we had early in the year. So love to see that.
absolutely, absolutely. I was gonna say something else, but I forgot what I was. Oh, I think he only had 3 points in the first half. By the way, so he turned it on in that second half. He had 15. So, and I think he only had like 3 shots in that first half as well. So he clearly understood it's my time to turn this on and bring this team around. Another great aspect of Trey Jones' game as a leader and off and on the floor.
Just another thing I've been thinking about a little bit more deeply, and Adrian just commented it talking about Sohan. Every time I watch Sohan, like I know he's had some rough games recently, but tonight I feel like was a little bit of a bounce back. Especially when he had a lot. I mean, he got beat a couple times, but everybody's going to get beat a couple times by Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a 19-year-old rookie. But he was able to get some stops against them and some one-on-one possessions. He had that same kind of thing where he doesn't back down from the challenge. It's like he wants to go up against these guys when he has the opportunity. And, not a lot of, I mean, obviously, well, most top 10 picks are going to do that, but still that's showing that he's doing what he's supposed to do. You love that about his personality. But the other thing is just, I feel like I see little intricacies. Like he's got skills everywhere. He's got some skills on the
Yeah.
perimeter, handling the ball. Obviously, the jumper still needs some work, but it's enough to where he's still going to get some to go in every couple games. We had one tonight. He's got the post game, and not all of them are fully developed, but it's like, and this is where, when we were talking about this before the season, and I know a lot of people are going to think this is crazy when I say this, and I'll say it again, but he has kind of like, I'm not saying he's going to be Giannis, but in the
Mm.
sense that Giannis had kind of skills everywhere, and then eventually they just all continued to develop. I'm just saying, that there's a reason that the Spurs picked him as high as he did. Once again, I'm not
Mhm.
saying he's going to be Giannis, and I don't think he will be Giannis, for the record.
Yeah.
But I think that he can develop, like, he's going to have, when he's at his peak and fully developed, he's going to have skills everywhere. He's going to probably be a pretty solid shooter, nothing crazy, but like, I think that the Spurs shooting staff, especially this season with Chip leaving, and you're still seeing improvements in guys, um, they've proven that they have a track record of fixing guys' jumpers, whether it be Kawhi, whoever. Right? Trey Jones got better this season. I think next year he'll have another jump. And then of course just the development everywhere else. Like, he's just got skills everywhere. I'm kind of saying this in a long ranted way here, but I think you get what I'm saying in the fact that he's got the skills, to switch everywhere defensively. That's already pretty solid. But offensively, there's little nicks and
Mm.
crannies if you watch every game of good things that he does.
Yeah.
And a lot of it goes into what Adrian said earlier. It comes from his basketball IQ. He's just smart, knows when to make good passes. There's going to be turnovers here and there because he's going to get pickpocketed, and he's a 19-year-old rookie, so that's going to happen. But there's so much potential, like, inside and outside, for him.
For sure. From game to game, he shows you glimpses of things that he's been working on. And when he does, like early in the season when he was having a tough
Very
time
true,
scoring,
Miles.
he'd go into the post every once in a while, and you'd be like, "Where did this come from?" Like, all of a sudden, he was making hook shots, or he had one
Right.
game or two where he was hitting fadeaway jumpers like Kobe Bryant with nice footwork. You're like, where did this come from? And he doesn't do it every time, but it's just these little glimpses into his future that get us all excited as Spurs fans. And I've been watching 2011 to 15 San Antonio Spurs games on YouTube, just old
Mhm.
ones against random opponents, whatever's available. And rookie and sophomore year Kawhi Leonard. I don't want to compare him to Kawhi because I think they're slightly different. I know they're great defenders, and that was their big
I've
selling
said this
point.
before, and this was on Twitter around when he was drafted.
But Kawhi Leonard, had he not been on a loaded team with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, he might have looked a little more like Jeremy Sohan as a rookie and a sophomore because he really only got wide open shots, right? And I think they're averaging similar numbers as far as the last few stretches. I know Kawhi probably averaged more points at first,
This
but
might be a
the
better
last
clump
stretch
than
where he's
mine, I
averaging like
think.
11 or 12, I think,
Oh,
Sohan.
yes.
That's similar to Kawhi.
Yes.
Kawhi had a slight post game. If you watch him, he could
Uh-huh.
post up, but his jumper was a little inconsistent, like Sohan. And they have similar forms. They used to both shoot kind of one armed,
I'm hearing
really
everything you're
straight with
saying.
just a flick. Not really, yeah. And it's eerily similar. The only difference I would say, Kawhi is a much better rebounder and slightly more athletic, slightly, just a little bit. Not much. Sohan has a great leap, but he's not as quick, I would say, as Kawhi Leonard. But then also another
And
thing that we
Jeremy's
haven't
personality is way better.
way better.
Thank you for
Jeremy,
everything, though, Kawhi.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
loved you
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
much once upon a time.
Oh,
Still have
rip
a
in
little
peace.
bit of love in my heart, if I'm
I
being
do too.
completely honest.
That little, it's like the Grinch heart where it's like still beating,
Yeah.
but it's still small. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Jeremy Sohan, because he's so young and he has, all these skills, they're just still underdeveloped. He doesn't play to impose his will on a game yet. He's really
Mm-hmm.
letting the opponent dictate what he does,
He's feeling
right? And I'm
everything
not
out.
mad at it. He's feeling it out. When you watch him, he plays like he's almost doing a walkthrough. He doesn't really have like a great speed or burst on any of his cuts yet when he has the ball in his hand. I mean, not a backdoor cut or anything like that, but just when he puts the ball on the floor, it's like, I don't know. I,
He's
I think you
taking
know
what
what
the
I'm saying. Almost
defense
like
gives him.
yes, he's going like kind of half speed. He's not forcing
Yeah.
anything
I
yet.
know exactly
So
what you're saying.
once he figures out how to dictate his physicality on his defender, it's game over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be like, we're going to be able to run pick and rolls with him out of the front court, you know, with
Yeah.
him as four and then Jakob or Zach or whoever ends up being the center moving forward. Um,
I am
there's, yeah,
so intrigued.
he's just got, I'm intrigued by his potential. That's, I guess, I had my whole spiel earlier, but that's like
Yeah.
what I said in a sentence.
The thing I love the most, dude, I know we're going on a long tangent here, but when he gets the
You're
ball
good.
in like the mid-range post, he looks weirdly like that. This is where I want the ball. And when he was coming out of college and we drafted him, we both were like, he's not a post-up player like that. He doesn't have that in his
Yeah.
game, but he demands it in the post
He
way
wanted that
more
tonight.
often.
It was on Jaylen Brown or Tatum, and he was like, "I'm gonna go in the post right
And
now,
Derek
and I'm gonna
White
try to
too.
bang with this dude." Yeah, he was like going like specifically. Yeah,
And he's got good footwork. Like he handles himself well in the post. He
well,
just hasn't hit the shots on a consistent basis.
the Spurs
He's
are
got
gonna
the hook.
teach him that. Like Pop and
That's what
Brett
I'm
Brown, the
so
staff we have.
excited. I'm
Yeah,
so excited about that because he can also play make out of the post, dude. So like apparently he's
the
gonna
middle
be a
of the
lot better.
season. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
It's
you're
just so much better. Like you're talking about and I'm excited with you because it's just like that stretch there where we did not win any games. And there was just like we did not know what we were doing. That was really tough there. It was like, wow, like is
Mhm,
this like to any like there was I was questioning a little bit. I was like, man, but now you're seeing and I should have just, listened to the dudes who like know what they're talking about, like Sean Elliott. Obviously they're a little bit biased, but like still, like all-star Hall of Famer NBA champ. Like they know what they're doing, especially with the Spurs. So
mhm.
you're just seeing it come to fruition.
Yes, exactly. That's so
Adrian
true.
says, when you see Sohan in person, you can see that he's involved in everything. The TV doesn't quite
Yes.
capture how much he does. So get out to some Spurs games, my people, if you can. And yeah, this has been another edition of SSPN Postgame. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We will be back for all 3 games next week. Hopefully, if we can steal one of these games, man, let's do it in the Alamo Dome. Let's break
Oh,
that record and let's look. They're bad on the road. It's probably not going to happen. It's going to be so tough. But like, if we could win that game, even if we lose the rest, like that would be so awesome, and it would be on ESPN. Like it would be so dope if we could pull that one off. We got to be in the Fiestas for that one, right? There's no way we're not.
we definitely are. I
Yeah,
wonder if what's his name is doing the game? Mark Jackson and Van
Jeff
Gundy?
Van Gundy. Yeah,
I hope they
and
are.
Mike Breen. It's got to be
Mm,
those 3. I hope they come to San
oh,
Antonio. They're gonna be like, man, I miss when this place was rocking. They don't know it's
I wanna hear
coming
Mark
in the
Jackson.
summer.
I wanna see Sohan dunk on a fast break and have Mark Jackson go, "Mama, there goes that man." Ugh.
I just want to see them be like, wait, these guys are actually kind of good.
Yeah, literally. Please,
like he's be like, wait, they
please.
got some potential here. Who's this guy?
Ugh, I need it.
Anyways,
Need to have him.
alrighty. Well, once again, we appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us on this Saturday night. We will see y'all Monday to start off that doubleheader with the Grizzlies. At least we'll get to see some Trey Jones, Tyus Jones stuff. That should be pretty fun. But if you enjoyed today's show and enjoy our content, go ahead and hit that button and subscribe below. If you're listening on podcast, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review and subscribe there. And to stay updated with the show, follow us on Twitter. If you want to watch, you can watch at SSPN on YT. And then to stay updated with showtimes, all that good stuff, at Jude McLaren, at Ethan_Quintero. And you can also turn on that notification bell on YouTube. We appreciate y'all, and we'll catch y'all in the